bend the knee to the leader because the leader is all powerful.
And I've changed my mind now. I'm not for ID anymore. Like, oh, you have had the bollocking of all bollockings, haven't you? Well, Nigel Farage knew my views before he brought me in. So then I'm thinking, why has he brought you in then? Are they trying to be more centrist to get into power? And then they're going to do things that I want them to do. Things on the right of politics.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's amazing guest, returning guest, one of my favourites on the channel is that press and journalist. How you doing, Ash?
Really good, Nick. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Let's jump into this episode. Last time, a few days ago, we talked about Labour. Let's talk about Reform UK. Reform UK recently seemed to have made a few gaffes, a few silly mistakes that didn't need to be made. Now, is this because they're gaff prone now? Is this because they're being put under pressure and being put under the spotlight? Or is this because once you scrape underneath the surface, there isn't any substance there? Personally, I don't know. Let me give you the two examples. The first one was a week ago. The MP from Runcorn, I forget her name now, was on a...
Sarah Poaching.
That's the lady. Was on a TV program and talking about ID cards, and she says, "Oh, I've not got a problem with ID cards. I've not got a problem. It's not party policy, my opinion, but I've not got a." It's like, who are you representing? And even if it is your point of view and your opinion, you know it'll be controversial. So keep your mouth shut and say, "Oh, Reform UK, I don't think we've got a policy on this yet. But do you know what? I'll find out for next time I speak to you about it." That's a decent answer. I don't know what the party. Stop giving people your own personal opinions. That annoys everybody. And then we had an even worse one. We had Reform UK's new prison czar, let's call them, a woman who's run prisons for 20, 30 years. And she openly says, certain men under certain circumstances should be in female prisons if we do a risk assessment. And it's like, are you mental? Have Reform UK mental? Have they not got this figured out? Have they? Even if that's your personal opinion, and she said Nigel Farage knows my opinion, well, that's okay, but he should have said to her, never repeat your opinion. If someone asks you your opinion, just say, "I'm not here to speak about my opinion. I'm here to talk about the policies for Reform UK when it comes to prisons and the criminal justice system." They keep making these gaffes that just annoy people on the right.
Yeah, they do. And I don't know why they keep doing these sort of things. First, let's deal with one thing at a time. So that silly comment that she made about digital IDs, which anybody with a brain cell knows is nothing to do with illegal immigration. It is to do with watching us all, monitoring us all, Big Brother's watching you, all that stuff. Make no mistake, she got a phone call straight after that interview and she got told off. I saw her give that statement. I can't remember who it was on Talk TV, weren't it? I can't remember who she was talking to. But then I found it very strange that next morning she was straight back on Talk TV again, and they'd put her on with Alex Phillips, who is, of course, a big mate of Nigel Farage's. She's been an MEP and stuff with him and had known him a long time. And I thought, what's she doing on again, Sarah Poaching? Anyway, next thing, she's saying, "Oh, well, after I got off here yesterday, I decided to have a big chat with Nigel about it. We often have robust debates and all the usual, spiel to give us." And I've changed my mind now. I'm not for ID anymore. Like, oh, you have had the bollocking of all bollockings, haven't you? And you've been told, get back out there now and get that back. We are not in favour of digital IDs. And, they're a little bit damned if they do, damned if they don't as well, because people like me and many others are coming out and saying, we need more policies from Reform. I want to know what they think about this and this. And then when they do, they sort of make a gaff of it, don't they? What they need really is a set policy that everybody is going to be on the same hymn sheet. Even if you don't agree with it, you've got to show a unified front. People don't vote for parties that are seemingly divided. They vote for unified parties. And there's many gaffes like this that they've made. I mean, to be fair to them, they can easily roll back on something like that. The transgender thing in prisons, now that lady wasn't rolling back on it. So I think that's an issue for Farage. She even came out and said, I mean, Nigel Farage was sat next to her, let's not forget, when she said it on that stage. And then then later on, she gave an interview. I can't remember who to now, and she said, "Well, Nigel Farage knew my views before he brought me in." So then I'm thinking, why has he brought you in then? If this is your views, I've got no doubt she's an expert on the prison system. She's an what do you call it? Governor, that's it. Yeah, she's an ex-governor. So she knows the stuff, certainly. But her views are completely against what any reform voter is going to vote for. No reform voter on the right of politics is going to vote for someone who wants to put men in women's prisons. And I just don't know what they're playing at. This goes. There's so many gaffes they make. This goes back to silly stuff like that lot again. You know, Richard Tice doing stupid things as well. They need one good media performer other than Farage, and unfortunately they've got one, but people don't seem to like him very much. Zia Yusuf. Say what you like about him. He's a good media performer. He's very good at talking and knows his brief.
The ID cards, I can get that caught him on the back foot because it's not really something that anyone ever discusses. The trans issue and the trans issue in jails has been a hot topic for at least 5 years, longer than that. But it's been one of the major concerns that's been discussed on the right and on social media for at least 5 years. How Reform haven't got a one-line statement in a policy somewhere saying Reform UK will never have biological males in female prisons. How that is not a statement somewhere that everyone has to sign up for, I have no idea. And it just makes me keep thinking, are they making this up as they go along? Is there no substance to them? Is it all about what's the most popular thing we can say to get us in the press, to get us more votes? And I've put an article out today online talking about is Reform UK our last chance? And it's I'd like to think I'm a fairly equal person when I'm talking about these things. I try not to be one-sided, even though we've all got our own biases. And loads of the comments are basically this: Reform UK can't be honest with us. They're going to have to lie to us. They're going to have to deceive us just to get elected. And when they get elected, they're going to do all the things I want them to do. And my reply is, electing someone you know are lying to us in the hope that when they get elected, they're not going to be liars anymore and are going to do the things you want them to do is not a sensible strategy for electing a government. Electing liars isn't a sensible strategy. I'm not saying they're doing this. I'm saying this is what some of their supporters are constantly telling me. They are right wing. They're going to sort all these problems out, but they can't tell us they're going to do it. So they're lying to us now. But I know deep down it's like, this is mental.
It has crossed my mind though. Are they trying to be more centrist to get into power, and then they're going to do things that I want them to do, things on the right of politics? And it is a possibility, because they don't want to scare the financial markets and all that straight away and, get the Liz Truss treatment and get kicked out of office straight away. So they've got to schmooze all sorts of people before they get into office to let them know things are going to be okay. We're going to do things this way and this way and this way so they don't scare people. I do sort of get that. And I don't know if it's true or not. It's just something that popped into my head once. And I thought they could just be trying to play that sort of game here to get people on side.
And if that is true, it's a sensible political strategy. But it gets us back to the ethical question. Do we want leaders of this country who are quite happy lying to us to get elected? Because are they the sort of people who are going to make the right choices if they've already told us we're already liars? The whole thing smells to me.
There is something to that substance point you made. Is there any substance there? They're very happy to talk about the big sexy topics, we're going to now they're saying we're going to deport all the illegal immigrants, for example. That's a bit of a U-turn on their part, but they're saying it. They're happy to talk about the big issues. Like in the past, they've been happy to talk about the trans issue. Now one of their own parties managed to cock that up a little bit, but they will talk about the big issues, the headline catching issues. But then when it comes to maybe secondary issues, such as, well, to me actually it's very important, but I suppose politicians might see it as a secondary issue, like ID cards and things like that. They're not necessarily prepared to talk about those, or they haven't prepared to talk about those, so they haven't got a set line, have they? And they get, like you said, they get caught on the hop a little bit, and they're not really sure what to say. So somebody ends up giving their personal opinion, like Sarah Poaching, and then the party has to roll back on it. They really do have to start going through. I suppose that's why they're doing this board thing. I suppose electing this board, and why they need to look into more niche issues as well that are definitely going to come up. So what are you actually going to... I can say stop the boats. I can say I'll deport all the illegal immigrants, but then I want to know, how are you going to do it? What's your strategy for doing this? Are you just going to put the Navy in the channel and send them back? Are you going to literally take ferries and put these people on there and drop them back on the beaches of France? What happens when you cause an international incident with France and they cut off diplomatic ties, etc.? Where do we go then? They're happy to talk about the Chagos deal. They've said they're going to repeal that straight away. And they're going to stop all visas from Mauritius and the Chagos Islands and all that stuff. Good. Sounds great. What are the consequences of that? And what are you going to do after those consequences? These are things they've really got to talk about. Like, it's easy catching headlines. Anybody can do it. But you just need to have some substance behind those. And fine, we could be a long way, from an election yet. So maybe they don't have to put together a full manifesto. But we do need to see some real substance. And I still think they'll win the election purely because people are sick of the establishment. But after that, where do we go from there? Do we just get another establishment party or another party that's dying to be part of the establishment? And that's definitely a concern for me.
I think one of the valid criticisms of Reform UK, and let's give them some credit. It's only been a year. They've been a party for 4 years, but it's only last year you would say Reform have turned into a challenger. Before that, they were a micro party. They were there making some noise, but weren't a serious threat. They're a threat now. It's been a year. It's still a one-man band. It's still the Nigel Farage party. Everything always has to go through Nigel. Nigel makes up policy on the hoof. We haven't got any policies really. There's no statements. We don't even know their policy on the trans issue. It's the Nigel Farage show. And I understand why it's a Nigel Farage show, because he's a very talented politician. We all think we're right all the time. All of us are guilty of that. He lost control of UKIP. He got kicked out of UKIP as leader. He wants to ensure that never happens again. And now he's looking at, I could be prime minister. No one's taking this away from me. And Reform are coming across as an authoritarian political party where you must bow down to the leader, bend the knee to the leader, because the leader is all powerful. I'm not sure we want that in this country.
I'd say we've already got it. We've already got, well, I know this is about Reform, but just to go to Labour for a second, we've got it in Starmer. He's tried to be that authoritarian. Look what's happened. Now they can't get anything through Parliament, cuts or etc., to improve things, because the backbenchers will rebel straight away because they've had enough of being told what to do by Starmer when it always turns out to be wrong. So now you've got a Prime Minister in name only being held to ransom by his backbenchers. That could happen to Nigel Farage. It certainly could. Reform definitely need him because, as he's a fantastic campaigner, very talented speaker, talented politician. Without him, can they win a general election? Probably not. I think the poll ratings would drop without him. But at the same time, this authoritarianism will hold for now because there's only 4, whatever it is, in Reform. If you end up with 200 or 300 or over 300, if you get a majority, that's not going to hold. People are going to start voicing their own opinions. So if you can't, it looks a little bit incompetent from the outside, doesn't it? I've passed Reform's vetting once before to stand in the council elections. I didn't stand, but I was surprised. They checked my YouTube channel and everything, and said everything's fine. You can stand for us, fine. I'm not sure I'd pass this new vetting now. I might try it one time for the parliamentary candidate. I might just try it, put my hat in the ring, and see if I pass the vetting or not. Because I'm not sure I would. Because I've spoke about Tommy Robinson, not necessarily supporting him as such, but certainly not slagging him off and praising him for the work he's done. That would probably fail me on the vetting straight away if it came down to it. So I think, there's definitely authoritarian streak running through it. And I don't necessarily, I think I made a video on this, this new board that they're having elected. How many people are going to be on that board that are already well known within the party, shall we say? Or is it going to be a bunch of donors? Is it actually going to be members there's a lot of discontent, I know, with branches at the moment who can't get in touch with the hierarchy in the party, and they're unable. They're being gagged. Apparently, they're being told to sign NDAs, so they can't disclose anything. They're unable to talk about policy unless it's literally come from the higher ups, the Farages of this world, etc. So it is quite an authoritarian regime, but politically, I can see why, can't you? You've got to hold it together until the next election. You can't have people splitting off everywhere, because then you end up with, like you just said, with another UKIP type situation, don't you?
Yeah, but there's a fine line. So it's hard for people to keep the party line when you've got no idea what the party line is, because no one's asked Nigel that question yet, so we don't know what the party line is. I interviewed somebody who's put the name forward for the board of Reform UK. The elections are in a couple of weeks. A guy called Nick Goulding, very nice guy. I've known him several years. So I know a little bit about the board. So the board, I don't know how many people are going to be on the board, but 10, something like that. Only 3 of the positions out of the 10 are elected. The rest of them is Farage, Tice, Bull, and people that Farage nominates to go on the board. So there's only 3 people who will be on the board that will be elected. To put your name forward for the board for those 3 positions, you have to go through so much vetting and interviews that anybody, Farage or the party, wouldn't want to put the name forward, doesn't get past the first 2-3 levels of vetting. So even though it has the appearance of a board, appearance of members can elect people on it, it's very, very limited.
I didn't know that. You see, they're being very overcautious. I can kind of understand why, because of course they're going to be under much more media scrutiny than the Labour Party or the Tory Party or the Lib Dems, because they're the establishment parties. The media don't want an incumbent party that may well defund the BBC, etc. They don't want that, do they? So they're going to attack them as much as they can. So I can get why they're being like that, but I think it would show a lot more willing. Even if you have, all right, you've got to accept that people like Zia Yusuf or Farage, etc., they've got to be on that board because they're going to be in Parliament pushing these policies forward. Fine. Why not have a bigger board? Have more people that you can actually have elected. I didn't know that just 3 of them were elected. That's very disappointing, really, because what you want is you want as many views as you can. So you might have somebody from the Northwest, somebody from the Southeast, example, different people in different areas that you might find all have similar issues that they want to bring up, and that can become a new policy for the party. But if you've just got people that you like or that and you're all going to agree with each other, it's not really a board, is it? It's just, we all agree with each other anyway. Let's just sit around, have a pint, and then tell everyone what to say.
It's a bit like our political system in the UK. It has the appearance of democracy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, whatever you vote for, you're going to get the same anyway. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
I was going to say, let's end on, because people are always accusing me of being anti-reform UK, and I'm not anti-reform UK. I feel it's my job to point out their failings, just like I do with all the parties, and point out where I'm disappointed with them. Where we stand today, if there was a general election right now, I would be voting Reform UK, because can they be any worse than Labour and Tories? I'd bet my house that there's no way in a million years they could be worse than what we've had. They're going to be better. My criticism is, are they going to be the party I want them to be? And everybody out there who supports Reform UK all have a different idea of what they think Reform's going to do. And at the moment, they advertise themselves as everything to everybody, and they cannot live up to that. And that's my big concern, is they won't live up to the expectations. And if they're perceived to be a failure once they get to 10 Downing Street, the alternative then is not voting anymore. It will be mass violence.
I think you could be. I hope not, but yeah, I think you could be right. There's people I speak to. Basil the Great on Twitter, for example. I've spoken to him before. I've done live streams with him, and he can't believe that I'm still going to vote Reform. He's dead against Reform. It's a very polarizing topic, isn't it? Because, like you, I will be voting Reform. There's no way I'm going back to the Tories, and there's no way in hell I'm going to vote Labour. So I'm definitely going to vote Reform next time round. If they fail, we've said this so many times, Nick, if they fail, they fail. The trouble is, it's become such a polarizing topic that on my channel, you might find the same thing. If I put a video out that talks about Rupert Law, I'll lose subscribers. If I put a video out talking about Reform UK, I'll lose subscribers. Unless I'm praising these people to the heavens, that's it. I've started calling Rupert Law on my channel Saint Rupert. Because every time I do a video about him, I go, right, I'm going to talk about Saint Rupert now, get unsubscribed, and I'll lose some subscribers because people don't want to hear the bad things. You've got to be able to scrutinise these people. I want Reform to win as much as the next person, but I'm still going to call them out when I think they're doing something wrong. I'm going to call Richard Tice out for calling other people that lot. I'm going to call them out for slagging Tommy Robinson off all the time because they want to be part of the establishment. I'm going to slag Rupert Lowe off because he made that stupid comment the other day calling the Coast Guard out when it was a charity rowing team, and he said it was a dinghy coming to the, full of migrants coming to the coast. These people, I'm afraid, whether it's Rupert Lowe, whether it's Reform UK or the Tories or anybody else, they do stupid things, I'm afraid. Get over it. Yeah, support what you want. But Reform UK are going to be the only part. They're the only party without a track record in government, and to me, the establishment use that as a negative to knock them with. I see it as a positive, and I think it gives them a chance with a clean slate to try and do something new. And the very first thing they should do, I'm not sure they've got the balls to do it. The very first thing they should do is bring in a new policy where they say from now on, the civil servants are temporary inside Downing Street and who work directly with government ministers. Those responsible for implementing policy will be based on the American system, where Reform will bring in their own. The Tories, fine, they can bring in their own. Labour can bring in their own. Then there's no civil service roadblocks anymore. You can't just go out there from now on and blame the civil servants because you can't get anything done. You've brought your own people in. If they're incompetent, that's your fault. I think that go.
I was going to say, I completely agree. I completely agree. Our civil service used to be the best in the world 50 years ago. That's a long time ago. They're now a huge part of the problem. And for people who are supporting reform, which is great, but don't want to hear criticism of reform, I will say this to them. That is exactly how Labour and the Tories failed their members, because their members became sycophants. Their members became dyed-in-the-wool Tories, dyed-in-the-wool Red Labour, where they can do no wrong. We can't criticise them. Whatever they say they're going to do, I'm behind them. And if we take that same sort of political leaning into Reform UK, where they can make no mistakes, where everything they say is perfect, we're going to end up with a different version of the failed Tories and the failed Labour Party. In a democracy, in a free country, we get to criticise our leaders, we get to criticise our parties. And if we stop doing that, then we have a dictatorship. And that's what Reform voters need to understand. It's not being disloyal criticising your party, because until you criticise them, how do they know they're doing something wrong? The more criticism they get from internal, then they know they need to change direction. There's no point Reform listening to Labour criticism of Tory criticism, because those parties want to see Reform destroyed. But members of Reform UK, people who support Reform UK, have their best interests at heart, and that's the criticism you should be listening to.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to attract that right-wing vote, which includes me and probably you as well, I'm sure we differ on some things, but you've got to be tough on law and order, tough on defence, tough on illegal immigration, and hopefully have some decent policies to turn the economy around. And that's basically all you need to get elected. That's your main stuff to get elected on. I mean, the next election is going to be based all around illegal immigration. That's going to be the number one topic. It's the new Brexit. That's what it's going to be. But the economy is going to be a very close second. It always is. In fact, the economy is normally first, but now the polls don't bear that out. It's now illegal immigration. So they've got to sort this thing out. It's no good standing there saying, first of all, Farage is saying you can't deport these people. It's impossible. Now all of a sudden we're going to deport everybody. It can't be both. What you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Pretty simple. Will they listen to the members? I don't know. But you're absolutely right. You end up with tribal people who won't. I know people like this who won't even look at another party. It's got to be Labour. Nobody else. My granddad voted Labour. That's it. Like, who gives a toss what your granddad voted? Why don't you have a look what people actually stand for and you vote for them? But we'll see if it happens. People are less polarised, though, definitely. That's one thing that Boris Johnson did for us. He turned people to vote for different parties rather than just voting for Labour or voting for Lib Dem or whatever. He did manage to break that mould to an extent.
He did, and people are less likely to vote the same party now all their lives. They're more likely to swap and change and jump to complete opposites if they've got the policies they want.
Yeah, no bad thing.
Well, no, it's a fantastic thing. It keeps political parties on their toes, and it makes them start listening to the public more, because my voters will leave me in the next election if I don't offer them what they want me to offer them. I can't take them for granted anymore. It's exactly what we need in democracy, is the people being listened to. And we'll see if it happens. Ash, thank you so much as always. Great conversation. And let's see how many Reform subscribers me and you lose over this one. See you later.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks.